Story number 3. We may need an upgrade in America. And this is a very interesting topic because of the fact that the wealthy and the poor and the middle class continue to make some amazing talking points. Some people say the system needs restructured from the old-fashioned way. It needs to be updated because of the fact that technology has advanced, human thinking has advanced, the fact that the culture in America has changed. So some people think that the system needs to be restructured to benefit the fact that there's more immigrants in the country. The country is more diverse now. Some people say there's no need to change the system, that it doesn't matter. Some stories that surfaced in is a Guatemalan mother. She was begging a United States soldier to let her enter the United States. This is a very interesting because years ago we would not have seen this. So that's why a lot of people are saying that the system needs to be adjusted, it needs to be changed around. Trump signs agreement with Guatemala to limit asylum seekers. So you're starting to see the fact that refugees have no place to go. Countries are constantly making it harder and harder if you don't have much to offer to a country to get into another country. So story number 3 is probably going to gain some steam. 16 Marines in trouble for human smuggling and drug charges, and the number may be growing. So they're saying that even people who have sworn on oath to serve and defend the Constitution of the United States are getting involved. So is there a reason why these Marines did this? Is there a reason, or is this a sign of protest? Is this a sign that something needs to be changed around? Bronx man suspected of wanting to join the Taliban. He was pulled from a Middle East bound plane in JFK. So when you talk about the system, some people do not agree with the system. They think that the system is keeping them down. And this is why some people rebel. So you have to ask yourself, is it working for everybody? And these are some questions that people are constantly asking when they're trying to run for office or they're trying to keep things afloat. A Cincinnati councilman announces proposed network to combat deportations. So even with the border, the fact, does the immigration policies need to be changed, or does the rule of law need to stand? You'll hear a lot of talk about this going on. A tour of a California immigration facility shows lack of evidence of inhumane living conditions or overcrowding. So even when it comes to detention centers, has the media been hyping these stories up, or were migrants or people who are seeking asylum or refuge, were they really abused in this system? So these are questions that a lot of people are asking as they're keeping an eye on these stories and the border conflicts. Migrant children alleges she was beaten and abused at Clint, Texas border station. So this is a little bit different. You're hearing one story saying that the detention centers are fine, and another story saying that something is wrong. So these stories will continue to gain some steam in the upcoming weeks because of the fact that if these people are seeking asylum, there are certain rules that govern asylum seekers rather than the people who are illegally crossing the border. So we'll see a lot of talk about this, continued talk, especially as we get closer and closer to the 2020 election. Another story that made it: gene editing test to be conducted inside the human body for the first time in the United States. You're seeing a lot of things changing now, especially when it comes to the system. So the question is does America need an upgrade? Gene editing, that you take this back years ago, this would have never been a question. Now they're talking about gene editing, human fetuses. So this new talk, the way that science has been able to influence the culture of America, is changing a lot of things. That's why story number 3 will probably stay alive. A new report shows that Brown versus Board of Education Supreme Court case made school district lines a tool for segregation. So even when you talk about civil law, the fact that things have changed, you see a lot of different things happening in the land of the free. You have to ask yourself, is you take this back to the past, how things have affected a lot of what we do now, which is very, very interesting, and how this stuff turns out. Muslims overrepresented in state prisons, according to one report. Even the prison system, and how criminals are treated, and how they're fighting for their own justice within the system. There's been a lot of people saying that the system has always been unfair to minority groups, and the fact that people who don't understand law, it's been that's why there's always a push for people to understand the law and how to be treated by certain officers, even when you're in the system. But some people are saying that the Muslim faith in the prison system is overrepresented, which is interesting. Very interesting. A lot of migrants are afraid of being separated from their families, and the list is big. Now, when you talk about this administration and their policies, aggressive stance towards immigration, and talking about sending ICE out to deport a lot of immigrants, a lot of migrants are afraid that they're going to be separated from their families, people who have created roots in these communities. So the question is do you now create a system where you make a deal? Do you make a deal? Is it too much to make a deal to even things out, because of the fact that this is creating too much strife, is causing too much of a problem? A lot of there's another story that surfaced in, not only just a lot, but the Justice Department resumes capital punishment after nearly 2 decades. So the federal the system of capital punishment is starting to come back in a different way. If you know, some people are very sensitive about the justice system having capital punishment or the death penalty, but they're saying that it's slowly creeping back into the headlines. The fact that the system is changing, and they're talking about capital punishment. And once again, they were talking about changing it around, and there's even been some. I think it was an actor. She was talking about how could you have abortions and be for capital punishment. So a lot of different talking points. Staying in the middle is very, very tough, because of the fact that you have to hear each side of the story, each side of the topic, and figure out I think each side has some very important talking points. But when you talk about getting things done, they want better policies, and they're asking for an upgrade in the American system. The DOJ starts review of whether major tech companies are too powerful. So the Department of Justice is starting to analyze or home in on tech companies to see if they have gotten too powerful, if they've gotten too big and too big to fail. Are they taking up too much of the American old way of doing things? So now that we have technology, they're even talking about changing that around. ICE officials caught on tape dragging a man from his car as his family watched. So this is deep stuff when you talk about an upgrade for the American system and what police officers, ICE agents are allowed to do, what they're not allowed to do. There was even a report that surfaced about how I think there was a cop that was water was poured on him, and he just said he's not going to get killed today, so he decided to call it a day. So things are changing when we talk about the American system. And is it time for an upgrade? Is it time for everybody to kind of come together and have a constitutional convention or something to make the system better, to work for all the people who are involved and are all here? This has been one big family of people supporting the Constitution. So this story number 3 will stay alive. You're in the Mediator with me, Brian West. If you want to contribute in any way, all you have to do is visit www.method8inc.com, method8inc.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something, or just sponsor a program. I'm here for you, constantly giving you the top 8 headlines and developing news stories that made it throughout the week, so you can stay informed. I am only the mediator. The news journalists and all the people who are in the field deserve most of the credit. I just try to figure out what stories are the most important. So if you want to contribute, METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, method8inc.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something.
The Beanie Bell then dials your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.